Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I'm super excited for my guest today because I think that she is going to bring us so much wisdom and just kind of share with us her whole story of what she's been through and just her journey. My guest today is Catherine Bass. She's not just your average tax expert, she's a powerhouse in the world of tax relief and financial empowerment. She is the founder of Bass Tax Relief in Arlington, Texas. She has solidified her reputation as a leading authority on resolving individual and small business tax dilemmas with the IRS. She has over 25 years of hands-on experience. She has represented thousands of taxpayers. But beyond her professional credentials, she is a resilient widow, juggling life with 2 young adult children and 2 loving dogs. In her downtime, she immerses herself in the joys of reading, hiking, and rocking out at concerts with her daughter. I love that so much. Now, as she embraces the wisdom of middle age, Catherine has set her sights on helping other women who have faced loss in their own way to abundance, to find their way to abundance, drawing from her own journey through grief. She's passionate about sharing the healing skills she has cultivated. For her, it's not just about taxes, it's about transforming lives. So thank you, Catherine. I love that. So welcome and thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
So you have been through a lot. And so, just reading through that and, the grief, all the things that you've done, the healing and all the things. So kind of just take us back to your journey and wherever you want to start and tell us how you have transformed to the person you are today.
So the death of my husband was the catalyst that created change for me. Who would have thought, right? It's something that was so traumatic actually turned into something that was good. It just took many years to get here. It's been about 6.5, 7 years since my husband passed. And so it has been a journey. But now that I've come to the other side of things, I want to help other women be able to do the same thing. But anyway, so my journey began, it began when I was born. No, I'm just kidding. As with the death of my husband and dealing with that, and having to raise my kids through the death of him as well was very hard. So it took me a while to get to a place to where I could I guess I kind of went in the hole of wanting to be with my husband and no longer, really be here. Because it's really a hard transition just to deal with, the life change that creates. Never mind for me, but for my children. And so I just went into, but when I went into that hole, I was like, I don't want to stay here. I need to find a way to crawl out of this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure out a way. And so, just dealing with that and all the inner emotions that I had to deal with, um, led me to healing, and a lot of inter soul searching. My health wasn't the best. I've always been fairly healthy, but had to deal with some health issues. So basically had to, went from dealing with the death to trying to get my health together while trying to deal with the emotions of everything, and then trying to stay on top of finances and everything else while you're going through all that. It's just a lot of stuff that you're dealing with. And the world today just doesn't seem to want to be there for widows. They want you to get over it. I think, you've got to, it's been a year. Why are you still crying? And things like that. And so I just found the place, where I had, and I'm rambling and I'm so sorry that I'm going all over the place with my story, but that's kind of how my story was. I went over here and figured this out, and then I went over here and figured this out. And so, but basically I changed my mindset, changed my eating habits, changed my exercise, changed my spirit. I really dove into the Bible. I always had a relationship with God, but I kind of had drifted apart a little bit. And with the death of my husband, it really made me dive into that again. And in reading, it specifically talks about widows and children. And I just felt his arms around me every time I would read the Bible. So that kind of became my safe place to grieve. And where I felt supported more than really going out into the world. But and anyway, so between my health, my mind, and my spirit, I feel like when I attacking all those things got me to the place of the transformation to where now I have hope, to live again, and I want other people. I want other people to feel the same way. So, anywho,
Yeah, I love how you shared all. I love how you shared all of that. Like, you had to heal your mind. You had to work on your mind, not only just your mind, your body, and your soul or your spirit. And I think that that's so important because, and then it's a journey, right? It's not just something that is easy to fix overnight. There's a lot of things that you had to do in order to transform into the person that you are today. And it's not, it's not easy. I'm sure, I haven't lost a spouse, but wow, what a thing to have to go through. And like you said, it was a traumatic experience. And I would ask you, what would you say to people? Like you said that, it was like a pain, it's kind of changed something that happened so bad. It changed into to your purpose, right? And sometimes we don't understand it. And you said it took a long time. And I think that that's so wise to say because people are like, okay, this happened. What do I do? And everybody keeps like, okay, like it takes a time to figure out why things happen. And sometimes I believe, and I believe in this because I believe in God, is that our pain is for a purpose. And so now you're using your pain for your purpose and helping other women who have faced loss in their own way, to abundance. And so, what does abundance mean to you?
um, abundance for me is just living happy. And being happy is having health, my children being healthy, having being able to live in a house, and being able to survive without having to worry about finances. Those struggles seem to always cycle in and out of life that we go through, but again, it's more of my abundance is my happiness, and just on how I want to wake up and live every day and not just crawl in a hole, and die with my husband.
I think that that's so important is that you talked about like that when you lost your husband, it did like you got into that depressional state without saying the words depression. Like you got into that state where you just wanted to be with him because it's like, how do I keep going without him here? And so I love how you said that you walked through, you had to heal your body, you had to like make sure that you were taking care of yourself, that you were making sure that you were spending time, like working through the finances and all those things. And it wasn't something that happened overnight. And so how you went through all of that, and my question kind of just went out of my head as I was talking. But how you went through all of that, like you focused on one area at a time, and then to collectively did everything come together, or was it just like how did that all come about?
Yeah. Uh, Actually, I had reached a good place where I thought I was abundant and ready to take on the world. And little did I know that was just kind of the beginning of my journey. um, so I was still just trying to figure it out. Being a tax preparer and a tax representative has kept me busy and has kept, and I'm very content. I do like, I'm a nerd. And so I like taxes, unfortunately. But so I had that aspect, but I did not have I didn't feel like it was a good, it was a purpose in life. Like I'm helping people with their money and this and that, but it just, I just didn't feel complete. It just wasn't enough. So my journey continued. So I was actually, when I was telling the story, I was relating to my book and my chapter in this book that we'll talk about later. But after I had written that chapter, my journey, that was just the beginning of my journey. So I got sick when I decided to change my health, and I gave up sugar. So sugar, I'm from the South, sugars and everything, even in my personality, but no. Anyways, I cut out sugar was the main thing, but I, started eating healthy, exercising, just really wanted to be stable in my health. But I ended up getting jaundice, and my liver ended up, well, that's what jaundice is. My liver was failing. It was actually, I probably had it about 6 to 7 months before I realized what was going on. And I ended up in ICU in the hospital. And so when I was dealing with all that and trying to figure out what was going on, realized that, I could have been dead if I didn't go to the hospital. That was a eye-opening experience. But I also, with what I just talked about, I was at a place to where I was still trying to be healthy, but I still wasn't 100%. So I felt like I was relied too much on my children to help me to do things. And I was just kind of at a place to where I was just like, what do I do? Like, what is my purpose here? If it's to be sick and to not feel good, like I'm just done. Like, let me go be with my husband. If not, if you got another plan for me, like now's the time to let me know what that is so I can figure it out. And basically woke up from going under for one of the tests they did for me to figure out what was happening. And I came out just a new person. I basically said I had my chat with Jesus,
Uh-huh.
and he said, "Here's your purpose." And it was like all the Bible readings I had done and everything just kind of, I started seeing that. And anyways, and that's when I realized that here's my purpose. God put me through this tragedy of losing my husband, and now I can use that to help other people. And and then I dug into the research of widows and how there's not that much support in the world for widows. And most of if there is support, it's in other countries. It's not in the United States. It's like United States thinks it's just a dirty word to grieve, and they just want you to get on with your life. And grief is something that lasts with us, especially if it's a spouse. That grief never goes away 100%. Even parents, when you lose your parents, you're still grieving for them until the day you die. You still love them and they're still a part of you. And so that was one of my lessons in my chapter that I wrote, was that grief is love, and love never dies. So you're going to basically grieve your entire life for those people. It's just how do you turn that grief into a more positive, or deal with it better. So but yeah, so then that's when I realized it's the main purpose. And since I woke up from that, I've started doing coaching and helping other widows. So to answer your question, that's where I got there.
Well, no, I think I mean, it's a beautiful way to look at that you're now embracing the wisdom and helping others to do the same. So what advice would you give to women who are entering the next chapter, who may feel lost or unsure of their direction as if they've become recently widowed themselves?
Well, first of all, take time for yourself. Don't let the world tell you what you need to be doing. You're going to have the funeral director, the hospital, everything. Everyone comes at you from all directions. You might have received a life insurance policy, so they think you have money, so you've got people trying to scam you. There's just so many things that are coming at you, and really all you need to deal with is what your emotions, and take the time to grieve for your loss. And as you know, well, this is being human. You want to, you've got to get up and do these things, and you've got to keep doing these things, but you have to give yourself permission to stop and take those days that you need to stop and grieve, and grieve. And then when you do have days where you have to make decisions, you're in a better place, because you've taken the time to allow yourself to feel the emotions.
I think that's so important. I think that when we constantly push ourselves down, like we have things that we have lost, when we're dealing with loss, we just try to stay busy maybe at times and try to avoid the emotions. But when we actually sit with them, we can get a lot further than if we're just kind of keep pushing them down, because they're going to surface someday anyway. It can surface in sickness. It can surface in other things. So I appreciate you sharing that. How do you balance being a mom, a business owner, and a woman that is now coaching and doing all these things in midlife now? How do you deal with that? How do you balance everything?
Um, well, I don't do it the best. I will say that. I try my best, but I definitely say I probably don't balance it as much as I should. I do try, though. I do feel that our health is the most important. Family is right there behind that, if not part of that. And then your work is last. I know sometimes it feels like it's first, but really, in the scheme of things, it's your health. And if you're not here, then what good are you? So.
No, I absolutely, that is the thing that I actually teach people the most about is when it comes to balance. I teach people on time management, and those are the things I say. When you're scheduling your calendar, the first thing that you schedule is your self-care. When are you going to get your exercise? When are you going to move your body? What are you going to eat? When are you going to eat? Those things are important. And then it comes to your family, scheduling the time to take care of your children, maybe the dates with the children, or whatnot. And then work comes in, because when we're trying to fit our kids and our family into the nooks and crannies of our day, and then ourselves last, we're going to be ending up getting ourselves sick. We can't pour from an empty cup if we're not taking care of ourselves. And the Bible teaches us so much about how we need to take care of ourselves and have those good habits. And that rest is also important too. I mean, Jesus rested, everybody rested. There's a reason that rest is used so much in the Bible, because we have to do those things. We can't keep going 24/7. We're not made that way. We're not machines. So I think that that's so important. And I loved how you shared that, because that's exactly how I feel that how we can become balanced. What does success look like for you now? Now that you're coaching, you got a book out that we'll talk about in a little bit, and then you have this successful business. But by the way, I want to say congratulations on having this tax business as well, because you've done this for a long time, and most businesses don't last that long. And you've been helping people for over 25 years with taxes. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. And yes, and now I forgot. I was so
Success.
what you were saying, but what your question was.
What was it? How would you define success for you right now?
Oh, success. Yeah. So what makes me feel successful is when a client um, tells me that I'd saved their day, and that they could not have done this without me. It is. Sometimes it's widows, and sometimes it's tax people, tax problems. But either side of it, that's what warms my heart. That's what makes me get up every day to do the work I do, is to know that I made someone's day better. And to me, that's what it's all about.
I think that that's so important, is that that you're working, so you're working for everybody. You work and you have these clients, but just to feel like that you could see the successes and their appreciation and what they're saying back to you. If you don't mind, I'd love to ask you a few questions about just the tax things in general. I mean, you've been doing taxes for 25 years, helping small businesses and others. What has been, or what was the reason that inspired you to create Fast Tax Relief?
Well, it's actually kind of funny. So I got my degree in early childhood education, so I was going to be a teacher when I was in college, was my dream. But then when I did my student teaching, I decided I didn't need a bunch of little children, and that it was, and I was actually making more money doing bookkeeping and accounting on the side as I was going through college. So my tax skills just kind of grew with my knowledge. So I started in bookkeeping and accounting, and then and it seems like I'm just a lifelong learner. I just can't always have to learn something new. So after doing that for so long, decided I didn't want to teach. So I went into bookkeeping and accounting, and then I did that for several years. And I've always been, the small business has been my thing. I want to help businesses grow, especially small businesses, family-owned businesses, things like that. And even in my bookkeeping and accounting, that's what I did as well. And so then I just realized I could help them more by taking it another level with the taxes. And so I went to work for H&R Block, and then I took their tax school, and then we've been going ever since. So.
Well, I think that I love that. And I love how you said that you're always learning, because I think that when we stop learning, that's when we start to die. We start to die inside. And I think learning is such an important thing. I mean, to keep on going. And it made me laugh when you said that you wanted to be a teacher, and then you're like, I didn't really like dealing with that. I love your honesty, because I wanted to be a teacher too. And I did something like I volunteered, and I did tutoring, and I was like, I don't have the patience for these things for the kids, and there's just so much going on with that. But you felt that you still had a way to help others in a different type of aspect. And so I think that that's important. I love that you're helping small, medium, small businesses, because that's actually like 98%. I think it's 98.9% of businesses are small businesses. And so I thank you for that. One of the things so you're an enrolled agent. And so what does that mean? And what are some of the misconceptions that people have about tax relief or working with an enrolled agent?
Well, yeah, first, most people don't even have a clue what an enrolled agent is. Most people think I work for the IRS, actually. And it's kind of comical when I do posts and things, and people are like, make their comments about how I work for the IRS, and I'm like, no, no, no. So I'm on the side of the people. I want to help people not pay as many taxes as they can, legally, of course. And now I forgot where I was going with that. Oh my gosh.
What the difference between what the misconceptions that people have?
Yeah. So then we get confused with CPAs a lot, and then but so enrolled agents, we are basically licensed to represent for the IRS, represent the people for the IRS or to the IRS, and so we can represent anyone in any state. CPAs are licensed per state, so they can only represent people in their states. But they all, we all have our place. But enrolled agents are more like, we study the IRS. That's our thing. And some CPAs do that as well. Some CPAs are enrolled agents. But we get confused with it. I get called a CPA all the time. Even when I was a bookkeeper, I was a CPA. And it's like, no, I wasn't quite a CPA yet. So there's a lot of misconceptions about what I actually do. So there's a lot of education that goes into explaining to people what I do. A lot of times I get referrals from IRS agents or someone that told a person or taxpayer to contact an enrolled agent, and then they go to figure out what we are. So there's a lot of misconceptions about the enrolled agent, and we have to pass a grueling exam, 3 of them actually, in order to become enrolled agents, and so and to get licensed. So.
Oh, that's really interesting, because I really didn't know what an enrolled agent was. So thank you for that.
Thank you for letting me answer you. And actually, it's funny because most people are like, I don't know.
And then do you think with the money mindset and with small businesses, do you think like the money mindset and emotional healing, do you feel that intersects any way?
Oh, 100%. Just like we talked about time, everything kind of flows. And so money, time, health, all that stuff, it's all about the ins and outs, and about what your perspective is. If your body is in a confused and fear state, then your money generally doesn't flow as well as it does when you're not in that state of mind. So there's a lot of things that go into the mindset of money.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that I love how you shared that. Before we go into the book, though, I would love for you to share about your book, but I just wanted to ask you this one question. You said that you love going to concerts with your daughter, and so what's your favorite concert that you've been to, and what does music bring to your life?
I got goosebumps when you asked me that one. but yeah, so Taylor Swift is how my daughter got started with the concerts. She wanted to see her when she was 6 years old, and I've always been a concert goer my entire life. I just love music. It just makes me feel good. So if it's making me feel good, I'm all for it. But anyway, so she was about 6 when she decided she wanted to go see Taylor, and I was like, hey, that's something that I could build a bond with, something with my child that we could do together. That I know how it gets when they get older.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to just kind of build a bond there, and then she fell in love with going to the concert with Taylor. So then we started going to some of the smaller venues and stuff. So my favorite concerts have really been the up and coming musicians, because they're smaller. You can kind of see them. And then watching them grow into, like, Sabrina Carpenter was one we would go. So I saw her when she was at the small stages, and then now she's huge like Taylor. And so it's fun to watch them grow, kind of like my child does. But I just have always loved music. My family's musicians, so music has always been a part of my life. And then carry that to my daughter, and so now she goes to just about every concert, and she is to the point where she won't even take me sometimes because it's somebody I don't like. And she's by herself, and I'm just like, wow, how did I train her to do that? But I love it. So
I love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about your book, and tell us what it's about and how it can help others.
So the book is Unbreakable Spirit, and it's actually 18 authors. I wrote one chapter in it, that talks about, my chapter is called From Tears to Treasure, and it is, like we talked about earlier, but it's about the death of my husband and how I transformed. But it has lots of other women. So it was basically like a women's circle that came together, and we each wrote what our story of resilience was. And so there's all the chapters. I can relate to all of them. We all had, as a woman, there's a piece of us in every one of them. And so there's a lesson in every chapter. And it's basically, they're all inspirational. So if you need to pick me up, and if you want to go in the trenches and feel the feelings, we got those in there. And if you want to feel better afterwards, we got words for that too. So it's just a very good women's circle book is what I like to call it.
Well, yeah, I think that, and I love how you said that, like, it was a group of women in a circle who all got together and wrote a chapter, because you talked earlier about how there wasn't really a lot of advocacy or a support or any of those types of things for widows. And I love that you're taking, you found a group to take an action and write a book about it, because there's so many things out there that I think that it just takes one person or a few people just to go out there and, gather and say, hey, we're not having enough of this. We don't have enough for mental health. We don't have enough for suicide awareness and, widows. And there's a lot of things out there. So thank you, one, for taking that, for finding a group that you could be a part of and writing this book so that you can use it to help others go through, the journey that we wish we didn't have to go through. But, sometimes, there's the reasons why we go through things that we will never understand, or, until we, meet with our creator. But thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
One of the things I would love, and I always ask my listeners this. Well, first of all, I wanted to know if people wanted to get in touch with you, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
So email is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. And it's, did you want me to give my email, or?
That's fine, because I will make sure I put everything in the show notes as well.
Okay, it's Kathy, and it's CATHY at basstaxrelief.com. And actually at the end of the chapter, I give away a essential document checklist for women for gathering all the paperwork when their husband dies, or anyone else that might find that valuable. So there's a QR code that you can scan as well. But just shoot me an email. I'll be glad to send that to you, or anything else. And I am also, if you don't mind me plugging, I was also working on creating a book as well, written by widows. So another collaborative book, but I will be the author, and bringing a bunch of women together, widows, telling their stories. So if you're interested in that, let me know as well.
No, I love that. I love that. I think that that's important. And so thank you for that. But as we wrap up, I just wanted to, I always ask my guests to do this. It's, what is a word, a book, a phrase, a quote, or some type of thing that my listeners can do today in order to help them refine and shine?
Well, my biggest slogan that I can say that I've been using is grief is love. And grief will last forever, just like love is going to last forever. So grief is love, and love never dies. So.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I just truly thank you for all the things that you help people with your business, with your taxes, all of the things. You've done so many things, and unfortunately you had that, your husband passed, but instead of, it almost broke you, but you're using that to help others. And so thank you for that. I thank you for, being just so transformational. I love how you shared about, all the things that you had to do. It wasn't a quick fix, but you had to heal your mind, your body, and your soul, and take care of you so that you could take care of others. So thank you so much for sharing your journey today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fuel your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.